Hey everybody, it's GomletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of the Brothers War. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Our rares are pretty decent here. The Transmigrant's a 3-1 that can't block but can come back later. Good for aggressive black decks. Sword of the Meek is not the greatest. It has some fun combos in like historic and modern, but not something super good for limited. I think we're taking one of these premium uncommons. We have the green-black Signpost uncommon, which is a brutally efficient card, a 4-mana 3/3 reach that comes with a Bone Splinters attached, letting you sack another creature to destroy any non-land permanent, and comes with some life gain when it dies. Like this card a whole ton. Excuse me. There's also Mishra's Research Desk, which is a very, very good red card draw spell. But I'm going to go for the Skyfisher Spider. Generally, I would recommend going for the Research Desk first because it doesn't lock us into 2 colors, but I have been playing a massive amount of red lately. So if I can end up in a different color pair, kind of a different archetype today, I'd be pretty happy with that. So again, strictly trying to win, probably take the Mishra's Research Desk there. Red doesn't get a ton of card draw in this format, and that's a pretty good one. It also synergizes really well with a lot of stuff in the format because it is a sacrifice effect, so it works with your Goblin Blast Runners and stuff to trigger them. So Research Desk really quite good, pretty much just as good as the Spider, except that it's mono-colored instead of 2-color, so probably the better card to take, but I'm going to go with the Skyfisher Spider there. Definitely an archetype I'm more interested in trying to play today. To follow it up, we have an Argothian Sprite, one of the better green commons, 2-mana 2/2 that can't be blocked by artifact creatures. Sometimes that's very relevant, sometimes it doesn't matter, but it also comes with a really good mana sink in the late game. We also have 2 very, very good common Unearth creatures, Scrapwork Mutt in red and Cohort in white. Neither of those really go with the Spider, but they are a bit better than Argothian Sprite. I think I'm going to go with the Scrapwork Cohort here. Evangel of Synthesis is also good, but that would be 3 different colors of Signpost uncommons to start it off, which is a little bold, so I'm just going to go with the Scrapwork Cohort here. In worst case scenario, you can play this card with just a couple random energy refractors or something to splash in the Unearth, because the front half of the card is always going to be castable for colorless. And it's pretty good with Spider, giving you a little 1/1 to sack. So, pack 1, pick 3. Emergency Weld is a card that's really fun with Skyfisher Spider. Apologies if the card is cut off on the left hand of the screen. That is an arena bug going on right now during the draft. But it's just 2 mana, return an artifact or creature from grave to hand and put a 1/1 on board. So if your Skyfisher Spider dies, you can use Emergency Weld to pick it back up, get a Soldier Token, then sacrifice the Soldier Token to the Spider's ability to go ahead and blow up one of your opponent's cards. Now, if you have a deck with a lot of Emergency Welds and a Skyfisher Spider in it, you definitely want to make sure that you're not exiling the Skyfisher Spider when it dies, unless you really need that life gain. So we're going to go for Emergency Weld Skyfisher Spider combo here if we can. It's a pretty fun little strategy if you can get it to go. You can get it popping off. Nothing really great in green or black to follow up our Skyfisher Spider Emergency Weld start here. Do have some good white cards to follow up the Scrapwork Cohort, the best being Recruitment Officer here. 1 mana for a 2/1 is good in an aggressive format like this, and it's got a great mana sink ability, letting you dig more cheap creatures out of your deck. I think I'd go with the Recruitment Officer here to go with our Cohort. Avenger's okay, because it fits into anything. Flask is okay. Not too much else in the pack. Obviously, Queen Caleb, it's a red, white, gold card. Yeah, I think Recruitment Officer is a very reasonable pick here. We've got an Energy Refractor now, which can help us do some 3-color shenanigans between maybe splashing in Skyfisher Spider in a white-black deck, or just being a full 3-color deck. Sentinel Stalwart is a very good mana fixer if green is one of your main colors. If we're splashing in the green, though, then the Stalwart isn't going to be helpful. So I think I'm going to take Energy Refractor because it's more open. No matter what colors we are, this is going to be good mana fixing. Whereas with the Stalwart, we have to be splashing in the white or the black rather than splashing in the green. So I'm going to take the Refractor here. There's some other very good commons. Blast Runner for the aggro red sacrifice decks. Combat Courier, great little value engine for any blue decks. But Refractor looks pretty good for us since we're dancing around with 3 colors right now. Speaking of dancing around with 3 colors, here's an Evolving Wilds, a land that's going to let us grab whatever basic land we need at the time when we sacrifice it. It's another ideal card. We're taking it over a removal spell that requires a ton of planes. Probably not going to happen, dancing around with 3 colors here. A 3-mana 3/3, and a very expensive card for the pretty aggressive format. Blanchwood Armor is another really fun card, but again, one that kind of locks you into being as close to monocolored as possible, which doesn't look like where we're headed right now. Now we have Tokasia's Onulet. It's definitely not as good as Scrapwork Cohort, but pretty much everything in this format with Unearth is a pretty solid card, and I am a fan of the Onulet. I'll probably scoop that up here. Another white card, looking like green is the splash currently. I'd take this Honor Guard, but I think Onulet's probably just better. We'll roll with that. Gigamole in black seems solid. Honor Guard in green is fine. Probably go with the Gigamole here. I think I am on the plan of a white-black Unearth sort of strategy, using some cards like Ravenous Gigamole that mill a little bit when they hit the board to get some extra value off of Unearth effects like Cohort and Tokasia's Onulet, and to make cards like Emergency Weld a little better, giving them more options of what to pick up. And of course, if we're already playing a deck that Emergency Weld works great in, the splash for Skyfisher Spider could be really spicy. We now have a Gikshin Infiltrator, an Argothian Sprite, or a Disenchant. I feel like the Sprite, again, is in a color we're likely to be trying to splash here, although we only have one actual white card, and then just one card that unearths for white, so I could take Sprite here and splash in the white instead. But Disenchant's a pretty solid common too if we want to stick to white as a main color. This is a very coin flip kind of pick here. I think because black is one of my main colors, I'm just going to take Argothian Sprite, because hopefully most of the removal in our deck can be more flexible than Disenchant. Cards like Skyfisher Spider that destroy any non-land permanent instead of just artifacts or enchantments. So we'll see, maybe that will work out for us, maybe it will not. I think I'm going to take Acrobat here, although Mine Worker and Power Plant Worker, neither are great, but they're fine options for being colorless, so that whatever's happening with our mana base, however wacky it could be getting, we get to still cast those cards at their respective mana costs. Giant Growth is a fine trick, very, very efficient card. Do I take that over Power Plant Worker? Doesn't really look like a super combat trick focused deck. I think I'm just going to take Power Plant Worker. Yeah, it's not the greatest card ever, but is what it is. Could go really, really far into Self-Mill with Razor Maw. That might be fun. Blanchwood Armor, not going to play that. Even when I'm really heavy into Self-Mill, I'm not a huge fan of Wasteful Harvest. Spending 3 mana to draw 1 card is just really not where it's at for me. Pack 2, pick 1 now. We've got a Bushwhack, which is a decent flexible card, especially when we're trying to play 3 colors. Splashing in a little bit of white here, probably. This is a really easy way to get our planes, or we can use it as a nice little fight spell. Probably going to take the Bushwhack here. There's nothing else that's great in here. Or green, black, or white, although now that we're heavier into green, a Sentinel Stalwart is a fun option for sure. I think I'm going to take the Bushwhack here. Pack 2, pick number 2. We've got a Goring Warplow, which is a nice flexible card. 2 mana Death Toucher to just slam down on the board and trade off immediately, or if it lasts till late in the game, turns into a 5/4. This is also a great synergy with Emergency Weld, because you get to just slam this down, trade it off early, and then you can weld it back later, and all of a sudden you've got a 5/4 to cast late in the game. So I do like Warplow quite a bit. Scrapwork Mutt also quite great. I'm not married to white yet. We only have Recruitment Officer and Cohort. If I keep seeing Scrapwork Mutts everywhere, I could be Jund instead. Green, black, and splash a tiny bit of red. Play a bunch of Scrapwork Mutts. Is it worth the speculation to take that over Warplow? Warplow's like solid, but Mutt is like great. It might be worth the speculation here to move to Mutt. See if it works out. I mean, worst case scenario, a 2 mana 2/1 discard a card, draw a card is probably actually okay in this deck. Now we have a choice of a Stalwart versus a Gaia's Courser. Gonna be a little difficult. Stalwart is gonna give us access to all kinds of splashy nonsense. Gaia's Courser is pretty good with the self-mill stuff between Burrowing Razor Maw and Gigamole. If we've got that full graveyard and we get any attacks off with this, we just start going to Value Town, drawing a card every time we send it in. I'm liking the green-black self-mill stuff here. Probably going to get a little less splashy, a little more Unearth self-mill focused nonsense. Take a Gaia's Courser here. Now we have a Gaia's Gift, an incredibly efficient combat trick, but there's also Emergency Weld, which is beautiful with our Spider, and also is pretty good in the self-mill deck. Hard choice between these two. Normally, Gaia's Gift in a vacuum's a bit better, but Emergency Weld might actually be better in this deck. Also good aggressive white cards between Recruitment Officer and Ambush Paratrooper. We were still going down that path. But, well, what's my creature count looking like? 11 creatures, 3 non-creatures? Feels pretty low on, like, non-creature stuff. I'm going to take Gaia's Gift here, because one of my non-creatures is also Emergency Weld, so it kind of feels like I already have, like, 12 creatures, basically. I'm actually going to take more combat tricky kind of cards that can interact with my opponent's removal or win combats or stuff like that. The more flexible card when I've already got a mountain of creatures. Gnarlroot Pallbearer is a great card to have at the top end of the curve when you've got self-mill nonsense going on. Pretty into that. Audacity is nice if you're like really aggressive. I think I'm a little more mid-range. Going for a bunch of early game self-mill and then slamming down some big beef in the late game. Moment of Defiance is a really helpful combat trick for racing your opponent's more aggressive strategies because you gain a ton of life and you draw a card, so this replaces itself when you play it. Pretty into that. Again, Stalwart is certainly an option. Does help us splash all these random Unearths. I might actually be on Stalwart here. We could just be green-black with a bunch of Stalwarts to basically play every Unearth card we see. And now we're definitely taking Gigamole. We are very, very interested in more cards that can mill ourselves and fill that graveyard. And now there's another Razor Maw to take. Fill that graveyard again. Warplow also solid. Maybe we can wheel the first Warplow we saw. Nothing much here. Not gonna make it to 8 mana cards. As cool as the Cave Guard is, let's just take a Locust. I'm probably not playing. I think this was the pack with the other Warplow, so I don't believe I wheeled it. No, looks like we did not. Alright, now we're just gonna rare draft until pack number 3. We almost have a complete deck now, which is pretty spicy. We're at 20 cards. One of those is a land, so I just need 4 more playables. So, as always, it's where I like to be heading into pack number 3. We just get to take a bunch of cards to improve the deck, cut something out of the deck every time we take a card pretty soon. It's going to be a fun deck for sure. I'm going to take a look at our curve while I can before we have to go back to the full screen mode. See what our creature curve is looking like, see how good we are at not dying in the early game. And I think we're okay at it now. 1 1-mana creature, 2 2-mana creatures. Probably the biggest thing we're missing right now. So really nice to get a last pick Honor Guard. Yeah, lots of 4s and 5s. Just need some more 1s and 2s to help us not die. What I'm really looking for. Unfortunate rare for us. We need to make it to 9 mana for this card. Splashing in a double red card is going to be pretty difficult. Even if I can pick up a couple more Stalwarts, it'll be a hard splash. Hero of the Dunes is a much easier splash, and it's still pretty powerful. You just need to hit 1 white source somewhere. And I already have 2 white Unearth cards between Onulet and Cohort to splash in, whereas if I try to splash a double red card, I only have 1 other red card I'm splashing, the Scrapwork Mutt. So I think I'm just trying to splash in this Hero of the Dunes. It's also really nice with the self-mill strategy, because it's pulling something back out of the grave. So I'm going to take the Hero of the Dunes there, and maybe we can wheel the Energy Refractor. I was going to say the Powerstone Refractor, but the Energy Refractor is the good mana-fixing card. We'll take another Cohort here, get another very, very solid Unearth card. We are definitely splashing in a good bit of white for Hero of the Dunes, plus all these Cohort Unearths. Would love to wheel the Evolving Wilds out of this pack. Dissident would be okay as well. But this is a card we need to get that white mana very early to actually splash that in, which might be a little little difficult, a little rough. But I could see pushing to maybe green-white as the core splash in the black. But we do have a lot more cards that require black than require white, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I think Cohort's the easier pickup. Dissident definitely an option, though, if you wanted to head that way. Well, this is actually a rough pack for us. Because I might have to take something I don't want to take. It still feels like I'll need a little more in terms of early game cards that are good at stopping aggression. And Gnawing Vermin is very good at that. A 1-mana 1/1 that gives something else -1/-1 when it dies. And it can mill ourselves 2 cards when we play it. So it's just really good in our archetype. The problem with that is that Boulder Branch Golems are really, really good a card at stabilizing against more aggressive strategies. But I think our deck's already pretty decent at that, so I want to get another cheap little 1-drop here to help us last until we get to like that 4 and 5 mana where we can really clutter up the board with multiple like cohorts and stuff, Razor Maws we want to easily trade off. So I think we're already decent at stabilizing later, but we're really not putting up much of a competition in the early game when it comes to blocking and trading off. So Gnawing Vermin helps us there while also milling ourselves, which is a pretty spicy ability for us. Now we have a Thraxidemon versus an Energy Refractor. Both pretty solid. Thraxidemon works really well with Unearth in the late game. If you have a lot of mana, you have enough mana to spend like 3 on an Unearth ability and then 3 mana to sack the Unearth card later. I might actually do that. That's a little greedy to pass up on mana fixing when we definitely need it. But our splash is pretty easy, because we only have 1 card in the deck that requires white. Outside of that, we can wait until the white till very late to get our Unearth value. We don't need to immediately unearth things. Probably supposed to take Disfigure here. I am pretty low on removal. Sad to pass up on an Obstinate Baloth, which is great at stabilizing, but as far as removal spells go, I have a Bushwhack and a Skyfisher Spider, and that's it. So, sad day, we gotta take Disfigure over Obstinate Baloth. Oh my god. That is a pick 6 Titania's Command, which is the strongest green card in the entire set. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is probably the only other green drafter at the table right here. The one that's not passing to us this pack. Alright. Let's go for it. That's an easy pickup there. And now we can take a Gaia's Gift, because I think our creature count's still really high. Yeah, 19 creatures, 6 non-creatures. Thopter would be good in here, but want more options in my non-creatures. Yeah, now I'm just going to rare draft for Vault Progress. And then Clay Revenant, I guess, is theoretically okay in here, but it's a really, really slow recursive kind of engine. Because you have to spend 3 just to put it in your hand, and when you do recast it and put it on the battlefield, it comes into play tapped. Gix's Caress is okay too. Caress or Rev. I feel like either of these is probably getting cut, but take the Caress. Well, we did wheel the Ocean Dissident. I guess there's just not a lot of green players at the table. I don't think this is going to go in the deck. I don't think we're going to have enough white sources to consistently play this early enough for that to be super spicy. Do I want another Honor Guard? 4 2-mana cards? I don't think I do. I'm probably not playing this Clay Rev either, but I think I'm definitely not playing Honor Guard number 2. Rare draft a Defense Grid. 3 more picks to go straight into the sideboard, and then we don't even have to do that much deck building. We're at 27 cards right now. That includes a land, so we're at 26 out of the 23 non-land cards that we need. So we just need to cut like 3 cards and call it a deck. Burrowing Razormaw number 3 versus Moment of Defiance. Well, I can't resist going for that full self-mill synergy. The one issue with our self-mill strategy is now that we have a sorcery that's a bomb, we could end up milling our sorcery and being really sad. But we have some cards that make it so if we mill a creature and we're sad about it, we can still get it back later with like an Emergency Welder, Hero of the Dunes. Potentially Gigamole brings it back immediately. But yeah, the chance of milling a Titania's Command is actually kind of rough. Titania's Command is such a ridiculously powerful card. Again, the most powerful green card in the entire format. then it might be worth actually just lowering the amount of self-mill just so that it's less likely to mill our own Titania's Command, because I don't have any way to put it back in my hand from grave. I could see that being the thing. Like, we definitely can't completely get rid of our self-mill theme, but like we can run a Gix's Caress over the triple Razor Maw, maybe some Carrion Locusts instead. We make the deck a little worse, a little less consistent, but it makes it much more likely we're actually casting Titania's commands instead of them getting milled. I feel like the way our deck is currently built, we're probably going to mill almost as many cards as we draw naturally throughout the game, so it's like a 50-50 whether we draw or mill command. Because this is 12 potential self-mill, this is 6. This is 2 more. That's 20 self-mill. Yeah, this Titania's Command makes things awkward, because everything else in the deck works so well with going for all that self-mill. I think we are cutting creatures over anything, though. Yeah, we have 22 creatures. I'm going to keep Gnawing Vermin in here for sure, because it's like really good against red-based and white-based aggro decks in the format. There's a lot of decks that will go just 1 mana 2/1 into 2 mana 3/1, and the Vermin really holds them back. I'm definitely keeping that in here. I like the Gigamoles better than the Razor Maws, because they can just immediately give me something for having self-milled. Whereas the Razor Maws just kind of just toss things into the grave. They don't pick anything up. I don't remember what I took over the Energy Refractor. That was kind of a bold pick, but looks like I might have been in a position where I should have taken the Refractor, because we did not wheel it. So we only have 2 ways to get our red mana for our Mutt from grave. Still not worth running a Mountain for this, but I'm going to still run the Mutt. I think I'm going to discard these Razor Maws. So we have 8 total self-mill, 2 Gigamole, and a Gnawing Vermin. A lot of 5 drops. Probably get rid of this Power Plant Worker at this point. I'm going to keep every Unearth card in the deck. I like flyers in the format generally for these Carrion Locusts. They up our amount of 3 mana value and less creatures as well for Hero of the Dunes. Yeah, Locust is probably actually just fine. Not super exciting, but fits in okay. I'm going to cut the Power Plant Worker. What's the creature count at? 18? Basically 19, 20 creatures, because Titania's Command is putting more creatures on the board. Emergency Weld is putting another creature in her hand. Basically a 20 creature deck right now. Still very high. Probably supposed to just cut 3 more creatures. Maybe 2 creatures and a Caress. Killzone Acrobat doesn't really work. The problem is all of our worst creatures are 3 mana. But that just ruins our curve if I just cut the 3 mana creatures. No 3 drops? Look, Ma, no 3 drops? Hey, worst case scenario, we get to have a funny deck name if I do that. I genuinely think these are just our 3 worst creatures. You know what? Sure. Look, Ma, no 3 drops. I guess I have a Gix's Caress, but... Alright. Whatever, let's go for it. Let's go for it. We have enough 1s and 2s that... Well, we have 6 of them. Disfigure and Bushwhack are also early game plays. Energy Refractor is another card we can play early. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 cards we can just run out turn 1 and turn 2. And then a Gix's Caress as well we could run out turn 3. So 10. 1 out of every 4 cards is something that we can just straight up play turn 3 or before. Draw 7 cards in the opener, draw 1 card on the first turn. Yeah, on average, we should be able to play 2 cards by the end of turn 3. Just play 2 2-drops in a row, or play a 1-drop into a 2-drop and then nothing turn 3. But if we're playing a card in 2 out of the first 3 turns of the game, that's still fine. And then, of course, once we get to 4 mana, the world is open. We've got a ton of those. Yeah, let's go for it here. I think this is going to be the deck. Definitely want to cut a Plains here real quick, though. We only have Hero of the Dunes that needs white mana. All the Unearths we can wait on, so we'll just go 1 Plains, 1 Evolving Wilds for that. And we don't have any double black cards, but we do have Titania's Command and Pallbearer needing double green, so we'll go up a Forest, down a Plains, and now we've got a deck. Alright, here's a look at our deck list for today. Kind of a green-black self-mill sort of strategy, splashing in a few Unearth cards, primarily in white. So we have a couple Ravenous Gigamoles to self-mill and a Gnawing Vermin as well. And we also just get a lot of value from recurring these after trading them off naturally on board. Those Unearth cards are Scrapwork Cohorts, Takesha's Onulet, and a Scrapwork Mutt that we're splashing in off of Stalwart plus Refractor. Plus this is just good to enter the battlefield, discard an Unearth card, and draw a card, so we don't even have to unearth this one for it to be pretty good value. Bunch of creatures that are primarily just going to be trading off, doing their job here, doing their thing. Atomical Honor Guard, Sprite, Traxodemon, again, that Gnawing Vermin. And then some cards that benefit from having a full graveyard. Nullroot Pallbearer, buffing things, Gaia's Courser, drawing cards, Hero of the Dunes, potentially being able to reanimate one of our early game creatures. We've got some pretty massive bombs in here, Titania's Command being the really big one, kind of the strongest bomb in the format, putting 2 2/2s on the board, then 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, including the 2/2s you just made. So 6 mana for 2 4/4s bare minimum. And at best, we've got a couple random creatures like a 3/1 and a 1/1 on board or something, and then this is just going to put way too much power and toughness on the board to deal with, so that's our biggest win condition. But other than that, we just grind out a long game with a lot of good little graveyard value. And some decent interaction here. A couple Gaia's Gift, Bushwhack, Disfigure, and of course a Skyfisher Spider. Destroy any non-land permanent. So that is the deck we're playing today. Looks like a pretty sweet one, but we'll see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. This looks like a pretty solid keep. We have Stalwart into Mutt into Skyfisher Spider, sack the Mutt with the ability to unearth it later. Definite keep here. Don't have a natural white source, but I can get the mana out of the Stalwart, or I can Bushwhack for planes if need be later. Yeah, we don't have any double black cards in the whole deck, so 1 swamp is enough. And we have both forests for the Titania's Command if we get there. Super reasonable hand, it looks like. Might even discard this second swamp here because I already have enough mana for everything currently in the hand, off of just bushwhacking for a 4th land or using Stalwart to cast the Spider. Pick up an Emergency Weld. That is our really fun 1-2 punch. Skyfisher Spider, let it die, don't choose to exile it, then just Emergency Weld it back, sack the soldier from the Emergency Weld to blowing up another thing with the Spider, so that's going to be very good as this game progresses. Could cheat it into play early here, but there's nothing to blow up. I could blow up the Refractor, but that's not doing too much. Not super worried about it. Mask of the Jadecrafter. I could blow that up, and then they can only get the Unearth card out of it. Seems pretty reasonable to me, because I'm not going to do anything else this turn. I guess I could Onulet instead. That's probably better, but I get no damage in if I do that. Blow up the mask. They can't use it for quite a while if I blow it up, because it's 3 mana to unearth plus the X to get the creature out of it. So that does slow them down a lot. Although they could just play another creature from their hand anyway. I think I'm just going to Onulet here. Skyfisher Spider, whatever creature they play. So if they do just go land and then make a 4/4 off the mask, we can just blow up the 4/4 instead. And then now we have an Onulet on board to attack them with. Seems fine. 4th mana for our opponent. Entirely forests and plains, so just green-white from what we've seen thus far. They've got that Sarkhan avatar though, that's Lion. I have seen no mountains. Boulder Branch Golem. Solid, sturdy little blocker here. Luckily for us, we can clear that out with a Bushwhack pretty easily to leave our Skyfisher Spider for something else. However, if I Bushwhack for a land, I know I can Titania's Command next turn, and we probably can't lose the game if I resolve a Titania's Command. Yeah, I'm actually going to grab a land here, just to guarantee a Titania's Command resolving next turn. So instead we're on Skyfisher Spider. Blow up the golem. And then Titania's Command next turn. I think Titania's Command was the only draw in the whole deck that would make me want to bushwhack for a land instead of just fighting there and attacking with everybody. Alright. If they don't have a board wipe, this should seal the deal. And there you go. Titania's Command doing Titania's Command things. We now have a 3/3, a 6/6, a 5/5, and 2 4/4s as our board state. Our opponent is at 8 life here. Opponent went Plains into Yoshin Dissident and now a Mishra's Research Desk. Put a counter on their 5/5, so it's a 6/6 now. Activate the Research Desk, see what they get here. Steel Seeker and a Stalwart. They're both chump blockers, so they'll have 3 blockers on board. They can go block, 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 take 4, 5, 6, 7. They're not quite dead because I can't reanimate the Mutt without tapping down my Sentinel Stalwart. But most of their blocks will have to be chump blocks here, and we'll put them down to 1 life, so... Unless they play something other than just another chump blocker here, that might change the plan. I'm gonna go for a bushwhack instead, kill the spider. I am not going to exile this card, because I've got the Emergency Weld in hand. Ooh, Hero of the Dunes. Buffs the tokens and the Stalwart. 2 blocks, block, block, and they die to the other 2. Yeah, Hero of the Dunes just kills them and lets me put Mutt back on board. That is lethal on board now. Alright, that was a pretty nuts game. Obviously, Titania's Command was the biggest piece of winning that game super early, but even without the Titania's Command, we were getting a lot of pretty great synergies setting us up in the early game, and yeah, if I didn't have to tap my creatures down towards playing Titania's Command and use the bushwhack to get the land for Titania's Command, we would have been hitting them more aggressively, so I would have fought away their creature and then attacked with everybody. So they would have been down to pretty low life. I think even without Titania's Command, that game was looking pretty great there. Just excellent stuff from our deck all around. Sentinel Stalwart, a big MVP that game as well. Alright, here we are in round number 2. We have that turn 1 Stalwart, but we don't have any creatures to get mana out of it with. Because I'm on the draw, this is a little less risky than normal, but still kind of a risky 2-lander here when most of our plays are 4 or 5 mana for the good stuff. Emergency Weld, technically 2 mana, but you have to wait till there's a creature engraved for it. It's a little risky, but I'm still going to keep it. Here we have both of our main colors. We have a Stalwart for as soon as I hit another creature or an artifact, like an Energy Refractor. And our opponent is going to start things with an Elsewhere Flask. So this is an interesting play here. Usually it's best to just Evolving Wilds out of the way when there's nothing great to play. I guess this would be an interesting play if I didn't have Honor Guard in hand. Because I have Honor Guard in hand, that makes it really simple. But say I just drew another land. Usually you'd be like, well, there's probably best to just get Evolving Wilds out of the way immediately, so that if I draw a 3-drop, I can just cast it. Because I'm not really going to need to Gaia's Gift the Stalwart. But I was just going to play the untapped land here because my deck has no 3-drops. And that's why it was going to be an interesting line. Because the vast majority of the time you would never... you would just Evolving Wilds out of the way because the odds of you playing a Gaia's Gift there are so low. It's like, well, the odds of me drawing a 3-drop are 0. I guess I have 1 Gix's Caress, now that I think of it, but generally. Yeah, Disfigure wins combat here. Send everybody in. And they're not going to let Disfigure get them, fair enough. Might want Evolving Wilds for Forest. It's like a 50-50 between Forest and Plains. Forest makes sure if I get Titania's Command I can cast it, and it's going to let me cast 2 green spells in one turn if I get enough mana later. But Plains makes it so any draw in my deck is castable. Again, I only have the one card that requires white mana, the Hero of the Dunes. Yeah, I have just as many cards that require double green as a single white. Other than that, it's just a bunch of Unearth cards that I can wait on. Although if this Stalwart dies and I don't Evolving Wilds for the Plains, I only have a single Plains and a Refractor in the deck for getting to that white for the Unearths. Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Plains. No! Got the Titania's Command when I got the Plains. Well, I've got the Weld for the Stalwart if it dies. Missing a land drop here is not great, but we're doing okay. I also have Skyfisher Spider plus Emergency Weld, which is nice. Could Spider away the Strongbow. It's their only creature they can buff up to big enough to attack into a 3/3. Although if I just trade this Honor Guard off, that's fine with me, and then I won't have anything on the board that I'll want to sacrifice to Skyfisher Spider, because I definitely don't want to sack the Stalwart. So I might actually want to just Combat Trick away the Stone Retrieval unit. I could Gaia's Gift and still hold up Disfigure. Or I could Disfigure and still hold up Gaia's Gift. I'd rather still hold up Gaia's Gift because Stalwart is so important here. Need to be able to gift my Stalwart if they try to kill it. Do have that Emergency Weld backup, but be better if I can use that on Spider. We're not under too much pressure right now. We're just setting up some fun Strongbow plays. We can kill the Strongbow next turn, sacking the Honor Guard to the Spider. And if we get rid of that, their board state's a lot less scary. They can hit me for a chunky amount of damage here, though, if they just spend all their mana to sacking these artifacts. It's 3 mana, so that's an extra 6 damage. But they're just going to play Conscripted Infantry instead. That gives me a great opportunity to blow up the Strongbow before they get any value off of it, since they don't have the mana up to sack anything. No land drop here. We're still okay. Again, not under much pressure if we just get the Strongbow out of here. We would obviously prefer to be just drawing lands here, but we're not in a bad enough spot where we're going to die for not hitting lands a couple turns. If I miss a land drop again, though, this is where things will get really bad, because I don't really have a good play next turn. I'll just play a Giggable, I guess. Especially if my opponent kills my Stalwart. I think I have to just trade here, because I have the Emergency Weld for the Spider. And this way, if I don't hit a land, the play is just Emergency Weld. There's a Gilded Lotus from our opponent, giving them blue mana for Third Path Savants. Wow, I should really need to kill that Savant, because they have a million mana here to just dump into it, so I need to weld back the Spider and play it next turn. Kill the Third Path Savant. Fortunately, missed another land drop here, and here's where it starts getting really painful. I do get to hold Gaia's Gift up here, which is cute, thanks to Stalwart being fancy with this 1/1 soldier. Alright, tap out to just draw 2 here. Should not even tap out, because the Gilded Lotus, they can still cast something that they just drew. Play around a 3 mana combat trick here. And if there's anything for 3 mana that would kill the Stalwart, would be something that just blows it up, which I think they would have already just used. Right, because if they just have a combat trick here, they can make sure the Savant doesn't die, but they don't kill the Stalwart because it has Indestructible. Alright, cool. We killed the Savant without needing to use the Skyfisher Spider. Let's go. We'll probably just play the Scrapwork cohort next turn now. There's a Foundry Inspector from our opponents. That's A-okay. It's just a 3-2. Makes their other spells cheaper, but they have a boatload of mana anyway. Even tap out for a Gaia's Courser instead. Sure. 4-5 is chunky. And now I'm just golden, because even if Stalwart dies, I have enough to cast everything in my hand outside of Titania's Command, and I don't think I actually need Titania's Command to win this game again. Definitely helps, it makes it really easy. But even if I don't make it to 6 mana here, with Skyfisher Spider to blow up this Strong Bull, Cohort to clutter up the board, Gigamole to draw another card, we're in a pretty good position. Ooh, if they have double Strong Bull, actually a little scary. Turn 4, we're at 5 mana. We're still just 1 mana away from Titania's Command. These Strong Bulls, they have 4 artifacts on board, so they threaten to be 6/7s just by sacrificing non-creature artifacts. If they have to start sacrificing creatures, probably just good for us. I feel like I have to Skyfisher Spider, sack the Soldier, kill a Strong Bull, but I am tempted to get really greedy here and just play Cohort because it sets up a ridiculous Titania's Command, but Titania's Command is literally always ridiculous. We'll just play the Spider, kill a Strong Bull. Now when this spider dies, we could gain 1 or 2 life off of it, because we don't need to keep it in grave anymore. I could still keep it in grave to try to get Courser to trigger sooner. So Strong Bull's threatening to be a 6/7 without sacrificing a creature. So if I double block with Spider Courser, they sack all their non-creatures, and then a single 1/1, and they kill both. But then they're out of non-creatures to sack. They only have 2 other cards on board to sack the Strong Bull in the future. It's going to make it harder for it to get in after that point. And I can't just let it in, because if I just let it in, I die. Because they have 4, 5, 6, 7 other artifacts. That's 16 damage total off Strong Bull. So I literally, my options here are to force them to sack a bunch of stuff, or like chump block with a spider and make them sack 1 thing. I think I would rather make them sack a ton here. They have to sack to get this to 8 power to kill both of these. And they have to sack to get to 8 toughness for it to survive. So I have to sack 5 things. Unless they top decked removal. That works too. Well, that's a little bit more life gain for Skyfisher Spider, and now we have no reason to keep the Spider in grave because we don't have a Courser requesting a large graveyard. This is okay. Alright, I can't play Titania's Command now because I don't have any creature to get mana out of. But I do have the 6 mana after I get a creature on this board, so let's just make the board state wide with Cohort into Thraxodemon. Chump block the Strong Bull with a 1/1. This is kind of awkward. I think I want the 1/1 up to chump Strong Bull. I think we are tapping the 3/1 here. And then we'll command next turn. Opponents had some very, very nice Strong Bull lines these past few turns. The go for the throat last turn was super bad for us as well. So this did pretty quickly turn into a game where actually I definitely need Titania's Command to get back into it here. And this looks very bad for us. Okay, if they're just attacking with Inspector, that's much less suspicious. That's probably just they're okay with the trade for Draxodemon. Land off the top would be good. I do have to tap 2 of my creatures to cast Titania's Command, which is not ideal. I cannot bushwhack the Strongbow because they can just sack a bunch of stuff in response. Yep, kind of have to just command here. Probably tapping Thraxodemon so I can have a 5-power blocker for Strongbow that I'm okay with going into my grave. So I block Strongbow with like Cohort here. They're over it. They're immediately over it. Okay. That is cool with me. That's very cool with me. I thought that we still had a game there for a bit. I was still definitely worried about the Strongbow with all those artifacts on board, but that was a lot of power and toughness I just put out. Titania's Command is a pretty busted card, and it is going to pull out that victory for us. So we are 2-0 heading into game number 3. Here we are in game 3. Awkward mana going on here, but Refractor can get us the green source to play Stalwart, and then Stalwart can tap the Refractor for a mana of any color. Puts us up to 3 mana. Takes a little while to get there, but we're on the draw, so we could even just draw forests naturally. We have 9 and an Evolving Wilds in the deck, so 1 out of every 10 cards. I'm gonna keep here. I guess 1 out of every 10. There are 10 in the deck, so 1 out of every just about 3 at this point. Alright, it's gonna be a slow start, unfortunately. We are gonna have to just set up Refractor. Opponent's curving out on us. 1 mana creature, 2 mana creature could be bad. Well, I hit the forest now, but I don't think I play Stalwart on this board over Refractor right now, because it's not even going to attack or block at all anyway. Although if I play Stalwart now, next turn I can Refractor and tap the Refractor and get mana of it immediately. So I kind of have 4 mana next turn if I want to play 2 mana spells. I'd probably play Stalwart into Caress and wait on Refractor. Might disfigure Stalwart though, I don't know. And drop Refractor. Will we play any game without casting Titania's Command today? I should say without drawing Titania's Command today, because I might die before I can cast it this game. That is a possibility. Caress them to make sure they don't have a good follow-up play, then we play a 3-4 next turn with Gigamole. We take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage here. Definitely on the back foot, but that's what you expect when you're on the draw in this format. Alright, they have no follow-up play. They have entirely lands in hand. They just hit us for 5. This flyer could kill us. We're going to need this guy as gift. Even if I get a Titania's Command down, I don't have anything to block a flyer. Next turn we have 5 mana towards Onulet. Gains life when it leaves the battlefield. But it does block Revenant and Shaman well. We're down to 11. If I play Onulet next turn, I don't guarantee a Titania's Command the turn after that, because I don't have the Stalwart on board. I guess I have to draw another land to guarantee a Titania's Command a turn from now, because I need my 4 mana from my lands, my Stalwart, to get my 5th mana, and I need to have another mana after that. Well, I drew into another creature, which is definitely not ideal for us, but we drew pretty well as well. that Scrapwork Cohort's probably one of the best draws in our deck if we draw a land next turn, because that lets us play Stalwart this turn and play some blockers this turn, which is really important here. Playing the Stalwart, so if we hit the land we can play Command, and playing some blockers so that we can actually trade off into something. Alright, we're just taking the Locust damage here, down to 9. And there's the Titania's Command mana. They have one card, it's whatever they top decked. There's no card that can counter my command for a single blue mana. I think we just do it here. Could Fauna Shaman into any creature if that's some random creature in their hand, but I think they would have just done that during their main phase to grab another Locust or something to play. Yeah, I think I'm just commanding. And I still get to hold up like all my blockers because now I get to tap down one of these instead of a creature for the command. Two 4/4s to block with. They can't get in on the ground pretty much at all, so send that in. Maybe should have held the 3/3 back. Because if their last card in hand is removal and they drew another removal spell, they can hit us pretty badly. They could hit us for 7 on the crackback, just blowing up both of our bears. They did have a creature in hand. Or they just drew one. They just drew one off sacking the Clay Revenant. So tutor for any creature here could be very bad for us. Surge Engine. That's pretty bad for us because it's completely unblockable. So we need to play really aggressively and try to outrace them now. I can deal with the flyer with Gaia's Gift, but this is going to be unblockable. A 3/2 that can't be blocked. As soon as they spend a blue on it, turn after this, it's a 5-power creature that can't be blocked. We have to kill them in 2 attacks or we're dead. And I need to make sure I can block everything they play. So I hold up a Gaia's Gift here, and I have 4 mana to play around with, so I play a Gigamole, hold up a Gaia's Gift. I'm probably just dead to Surge Engine, unfortunately. Yeah, Gigamole, hold up Gaia's Gift, let's go. Maybe we can hit a Skyfisher Spider, blow up the Surge Engine. Oh, there's the Skyfisher Spider. I can't cast it right now, but I can certainly cast it next turn. If I just survive this turn, we can Skyfisher Spider the Surge Engine. 1 mana away from, or no, 2 mana away from casting it right now. So because of that, I'm not even going to get that aggressive on this attack. I think I just want to send in a Cohort and 1 4/4 and still have 3 blockers even if I tap Stalwart. Now we don't have to be all in on killing them in 2 attacks. We're trying to kill Surge Engine with Skyfisher. And putting them to 8 is low enough that we are probably still killing them in 2 attacks. Alright. Dump that mana into the Surge Engine. 3/2 unblockable. Put the Clay Rev back into their hand. Now they need to dump 3 mana to making Surge Engine a 5-power creature, attack with Surge Engine and Locust, then we Gaia's Gift. Give one of our blockers reach, block the Locust, kill them on the crackback. Because they are attacking for exact lethal here, so if they have removal, they've got us. So we need to Gaia's Gift our creature that's hardest to kill. Which, in a black deck, they could kill all of our creatures equally. If we had a 2 toughness creature, we'd want to target whatever has more than 2 toughness, because Disfigure exists for -2/-2 at instant speed, but I guess our chunkiest creature is our 4/4. We'll just target that. But I don't think there's anything that could kill our 4/4 and not our 3/3s, or our 3/3s and not our 4/4. I think anything that would kill one of our 3 toughness creatures would kill our 4/4 as well. Alright, we are down to 2. But I probably kill them on the crackback, and if I don't, I can blow up their Surge Engine with Skyfisher Spider. So they're tapped out. Quick math here. Block, block, block. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exactly. Yeah, tapped out. Block, block, block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I miscounted, I lose. Because I'm not holding blockers up. Alright, we did not miscount. And that is going to be 3 games in which we've cast Titania's Command, so that is going to be 3 victories under our belt. Hopefully we can get a nice solid back and forth game in the future with no Titania's Commands drawn. It does feel exceptionally rude to have exclusively one off of the strongest bomber in the format 3 games in a row, so we'll see what happens. Can't be unhappy about consistently winning, but it'd be cool to do it a different way. Here we are in game 4, undefeated so far. Unfortunately, this is going to be pretty much a forced mulligan. We have good mana fixing the hand, but it requires the green source, and the green source is what we are lacking. We are going to have to take that mulligan, way too risky of a keep. Otherwise, this is a solid keep. 2 mana, we can play our Mutt for sure, our Thraxidemon for sure, our Refractor. Actually, every single card in the hand is castable. Sure, we'll keep that. And Emergency Weld is a much later gameplay than everything else in the hand, so we'll dump that. Can't complain. Can't complain. Whitelisted Streamer Luck. All in on drawing more lands here, so drop the Thraxidemon, drop the Gaia's Gift, drop something to try to turn it into a land. Actually want as many creatures as possible for command as well. Feels a little whack, but I'm going to discard Gift. I want to play Refractor to draw a card as well. Alright, there we go. 4 out of 6. I should have played Thraxidemon, I'm a doofus. My Mutt can't block that thing. My Mutt can block this Harvester. Could spend a turn on Refractor, draw a card, make sure we keep hitting our land drops, because then next turn I can tap out for Gigamole and be perfectly happy. If I don't top deck a land next turn, I'm going to be a little scared to just slam down Gigamole, because then I might miss a land drop there. Yeah, I'm going to Refractor here. We can trade into Harvester. We're only taking another 2 damage right now. Now I've got a 4 and a 5 set up. There's a Scrapwork Rager. Another 2/2 for our opponent, and they get a card draw here. Alright, we've got the 5 mana set up now, so let's Gigamole, and they get to exile our Mutt after they unearth this Harvester, unfortunately. Did not mill any creatures, and we milled 2 lands. That's unfortunate. Because a 2/3 Gigamole's just as good at blocking as a 3/4 would have been, so we really would have liked to draw a creature there. Especially if they're just going to blow it up with a Spider regardless. Well, we've got an Onulet to play next turn, not that bad of a spot. If you drop a 4/4 now. There's our own Skyfisher Spider, but we have nothing to sacrifice for that right now. It's going to be a really good play later if they don't exile our Mutt from our graveyard. We can reanimate our Mutt and sacrifice it to the Spider. That's going to require 7 mana to do that though, because I don't have any red sources in the deck. I'll have to put 2 mana into the Refractor to get 1 red. So this is a red and 2 to unearth for us right now. So 4 mana for Spider and a red and 2 for the Mutt. We'll line up into that. This is definitely a combat trick. Do I play around Gaia's Gift and just kill the 2/2 instead? Oh, I can't. I can't block it. So if they have Gaia's Gift, I literally can't play around it. Alright. They Gaia's Gift, I gain a couple life. Interesting. Is this Emergency Weld for the Spider? Or is this post-combat... post-combat something? Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1? No, it's just Emergency Weld for Scrapwork Rager. And then bushwhack. Okay. That's a 2-for-1. We killed the spider and we got rid of their bushwhack. And I gained some life off Amulet. That was pretty okay. I don't know if Titania's Command does enough here. 2 4/4s is probably enough, honestly. Kind of want to get greedy. Take 4 damage next turn. 7 damage if they harvester us. I think I have to just do this. Empty board, just double 4/4 here. Ooh, a pallbearer with 3 creatures in grave. Seems like the best play here. Massive creature that's hard for them to attack into. It's a very good attack with this bear. Right into 2 of their creatures. We do hit them for a lot here. Actually, even the life totals or get rid of their board. We're just waiting for one more land to scrap Berkmut Skyfisher Spider is a huge play. We're not really going to get there right now, though. I'll send in the pallbearer. I have Gaia's Gift on blocks. Spider only sacks creatures. It doesn't sack artifacts. Go for Amulet here, but it doesn't even attack into the 4/5 anyway. I really don't want to just Spider and then Thrax Demon into Courser. When I'm just 1 mana off from these plays if they don't Harvester away Mutt. And they don't have a good reason to do that, so I don't think they will. So I think I'm just going to play Thrax Demon. I don't see a good reason at all for them to Unearth Harvester right now when I have 4/4s to block it. Unless they just really want to stop me from using Mutt, which wouldn't make a ton of sense unless they just knew I had Skyfisher Spider, especially because they have enough cards for Gaia's Courser to draw now. So if they unearth something, they wouldn't be drawing cards off of that. Alright, we'll get our Gaia's Gift off here. Still 1 mana away from Mutt Skyfisher Spider, but Cohort gives me a 1/1 to use as well, so we're good. Do think I still need a 4/4 as a blocker. 14 life, they have to spend 7 mana to buff these though. I guess I kind of don't need the 4/4 as a blocker. They can block with a 3/5 and a 1/1 against a 4/4. At least they have to block with 3/5, 2/2 against the 5/5s. Yeah, no. 4/4 getting blocked by a 3/5 and a 1/1 is pretty horrific. Return the Gaia's Courser from the grave to the battlefield. Big 4/5 blocker. There's the land. Let's go to Value Town. And trade our Mutt into the Courser. Since it will die anyway. If they block one of these and block there, they take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually worth it, I think. Let them kill a 1/1 to get extra damage in if they want. Alright, and they are going to scoop them up. Not too much to say that game. Just another Titania's Command victory, really. Card is busted, and we've drawn it 4 games in a row, so 4 wins in a row it is. Getting a solid value out of this event no matter what. Spent 1,500 gems to get 1,403 packs. And of course, every card that we drafted. So, pretty happy whatever happens from here. We'll be playing to our best ability here, and maybe playing some games without Titania's Command as we head into round number 5. Alright, here we are on the play for game 5. We have Stalwart into Sprite. That could even lead into a turn 3 Spider if they play something very strong, like a good 3-mana bomb rare, like the 3-mana 2/3 flyer that spits out 1/1s or something like that. Don't think we're going to need to play a turn 3 Spider, but the fact that it's an option here is pretty cool. And now we've got an Onulet for turn 4 thanks to our Stalwart. That we will almost definitely do turn 4, even though I'm probably not playing the Spider here this turn. Ooh, Gigamole instead? Yeah, let's just curve out our cards a little early here. A little less pressure on my opponent's life total, but putting ourselves into a board state that's going to be really hard for them to recover from, especially since we mill an Unearth card here. Beautiful stuff going on so far. Unearth, of course, being incredible with the Skyfisher Spider if we do it late in the game, but this also gives us a 1/1 Soldier to sacrifice to the Spider. Beautiful, beautiful stuff so far. Goring Warplow from our opponents. That can trade into our Gigamole and not much else. We're pretty okay with that. I'm going to play an untapped land to go ahead and get an Onulet on the board here. Although I could instead Evolving Wilds for a Plains for the Cohort and play the Honor Guard. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I could also Honor Guard and Unearth Cohort right now to activate Skyfisher Spider soon. Actually seems reasonable to me. I think I'm going to go for that. And this way I get to tap down a Summoning Sick creature to get the mana out of Stalwart. So I get to attack with everybody legitimately this turn, and just get this Warplow off the board for my Gigamole. Which is a fair trade to me. So now if they play something that needs to be killed, we Spider. And if they don't, then we Onulet. And we're of course going to Evolving Wilds for our Plains, so even if Stalwart dies, we'll have access to the white mana that we need for Onulet's Unearth ability late in the game, and any potential like Hero of the Dunes off the top. It's like a pretty good game so far. There are some really bomby cards in this format, as you can tell by the amount of Titania's commands that we've casted though, so really could change at any moment if our opponent has a Gix's command or something like that. That would destroy our entire board. Gix's command, kind of the black version of Titania's command, well, literally the black version of Titania's command. Not quite as scary, but still an incredibly powerful rare. So our Gothian Sprite into Epic Confrontation is the play. They had multiple green cards in hand, exclusively Swamps and Plains though. They could be on a similar deck to us, just splashing in white, but just haven't hit any forests. Could be what's going on here. Alright, well, losing our Sprite is not ideal. That's a little sad here. I don't think that the Sprite is scary enough to just immediately Spider, so let's just get our Honor Guard in there and play the Onulet. I could have Stalwarted the Onulet out to get Evolving Wilds out of the way. That's probably the right line, because the odds of us wanting to block with our 1/1 or our Stalwart are pretty low here. So there's still nothing I really want a Skyfisher Spider, but I do have enough mana to do Spider and Gaia's Gift. I would just have to tap Stalwart to do it. Yeah, and I kind of do want to keep curving out here. The only thing that could really stop us is going to be board wipe from our opponent. Yeah, we'll Spider away the Sprite. and then Gaia's Gift on whatever they try to kill with the cohort, I think. Killing the one with higher toughness because we're going to Gaia's Gift. And trample over the other block. Okay. And because Cohort has a good Unearth ability, so if it doesn't block here, then we need to keep them off of that. Alright, seems like board wipe or bust for our opponent, but they do have 5 cards in hand to our 0, so if they have enough efficient removal, they could also get back into the game. They are at 4 life, facing 2 4-power creatures, a 3-power creature, and a 1-power creature. So they need multiple more blockers. If they just play 1 more blocker, 1 more removal spell, they are dead. And Emergency Weld is beautiful here. I think I'm just holding it in hand and just attacking with everybody right now. Because they die unless they have 2 removal spells or 2 creatures to play right now. There's 1, Overwhelming Remorse. So they can Overwhelming Remorse, block, Honor Guard, take 4. And that's the play. That is going to be game, and that is our first game. We did not actually play a Titania's Command, so good to get a victory without it. At least one of them. And that's going to be 5-0 now. We are in the money, getting 1,600 gems out of the 1,500 gem event. Feels pretty great, but we'll see if we can keep it up as we head into round 6. Well, here we are in round 6 with a no forest hand, but as soon as I hit 1 forest, I can bushwhack into the second for Titania's Command, which makes me think that this might be a hand I'm supposed to keep, which doesn't seem right. 3 swamps and a plains, so I get flooded out really easily, and I don't have the right mana for 2 of the 3 non-land cards in hand. Titania's Command is such a busted card. This is potentially a hand I'm supposed to keep, but it's really close, and I'm not going to, because I do want to try to get some wins without it, potentially, and Whitelisted Streamer strikes again. I'm going to play a turn 2 Scrapwork Mutt, discarding a Cohort, and draw some extra lands to get to this Titania's Command. My opponent is very aggro. They could kill us before we make it there, because I can definitely miss some land drops with this hand. That is a distinct possibility. Oh, there we go. We do hit the 3rd land drop at least. There's an Elsewhere Flask they can sack to give the Blast Runner +2/+0 and Menace this turn, so that we can't just trade the Mud into it. They don't want to, so they're saving the Elsewhere Flask for mana fixing, potentially. It's interesting. I have a Gnawing Vermin that can 1-for-1 trade into the runner, so I think I actually go for this attack here. Although I could end up just caressing my opponent instead of playing Vermin right now, but I kind of like Vermin and mill ourselves when we have Emergency Weld in hand to pick up anything good that we mill. Because it's not like I'm going to use the Power Stone from the caress, but I can make sure they don't have like a really good aggro follow-up for now. Yeah, I'm going to play a little slow and a little weird here and just caress them. Just going to lovingly embrace my opponent. I'm pretty sure that's allowed in a tournament setting. Alright, well that was good. Seems pretty balmy. They're not going to do a lot of drawing a second card each turn, but a 4/3 that picks up another creature when it dies is still pretty good. We've got a pretty good curve here though. 3/1, a 3/2 haste. That Elsewhere Flask, they need that flask for the black mana. So actually, if they don't draw another swamp, this Puppeteer is not that bad. Still kind of want to get rid of it. Yeah, because they just need any 1 land will make it to Puppeteer. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of it. They just don't play the Infiltrator, they just sack the Flask to play Puppeteer instead. And then again, if I get rid of anything else, then when they do play the Puppeteer and it trades off, they're going to pick up whatever I made them discard anyway, just later in the game. We have the Mutt to trade into one of these 2 toughness creatures. We have the Vermin as well to trade into 3/1s and 1/1s. So I feel like we have solid blockers for their 3 mana 3/1, their 3 mana 3/2, all that kind of stuff. I am going to trade into this Blast Runner though, so no longer have an Automaton blocker. but I will as soon as I put vermin on board. This vermin can and will block and trade into an automaton, and then my 1/1 from emergency weld can block and trade with infantry. I think that's what we're doing here, probably vermin plus weld. I could weld and mutt instead, though. Also pretty reasonable. Discard vermin to draw a card and just try to hit more lands instead. That's interesting. Interesting, just digging for Titania's Command again. Yeah. I'm actually gonna do that. It plays pretty much the exact same, except that I'm not filling my graveyard, because it gives me exactly what I need to trade off with both these creatures. I'm just not milling myself 2 cards this way. Instead of milling 2, I'm drawing 1, discarding a vermin. Alright, land number 5 of 6. We're on the way. There is the swamp for our opponent, so they can play Infiltrator and Wings. That is going to be the line. The Wings is an issue, but I think we can outrace it. Bushwhack is the draw, which I can use to guarantee the 6th land and get a Plains here, which is good because we get another 1/1 if we get a Plains. Yeah, Bushwhack into a Plains, play that as the land per turn, and then I can actually play a Cohort this turn as well, and Titania's Command next turn with another 1/1 soldier on board from our Cohort. And our board state really keeps them off of attacks with anything except whatever they put the wings on, which means we should have plenty of creatures on the board when we cast our Titania's Command. If they do go for some attacks here with non-winged creatures, I think I'm just going to take it. But, as I expected, they are not going to do that. Just attack in the sky with infantry. Play a Rock Hunter. Alright, time to play Titania's Command and kill them in pretty much 2 attacks. We have 2 4/4s on the ground to block with. They only have 2 attackers on the ground, so we'll attack with everybody. Then we play a Pallbearer next turn as well now. Should be a pretty quick kill here in a couple attacks. Definitely our opponent's best block here. They are going to go for the trade with the Infiltrator as well. So that's pretty good for our opponent. They actually get 2 trades here. But they are down to 1 creature. We've got 3, and I have a Pallbearer coming up. Yeah, that was not... that wasn't horrible for our opponent there. This is where their best trades for sure. Now they play a Strongbow that can block as a 3/4 because they can sack the wings, so actually our 3/3 is not really going to get an attack in here. Although I have the Pallbearer, so I can just buff it with that, which I think I will do. Oh my god, I could play a Skyfisher Spider instead, but I don't have anything I want to sack to it. Right, because if I play Spider, I'm going to sack the 3/3 to trade into the infantry or something, which it's already going to do if I just attack with it. So we might as well get the attack with these cards and have them trade that way. And then have them trade with the Spider. If I get an Energy Refractor or a Sentinel Stalwart, I could end up sacking a Mutt that's unearthed to use the Spider later. So we're going to trade into a Bear. And they're going to take 9, go to 5 now. There's an Excavation Explosion to kill our 3/3, that's pretty good. But they only have 1 mana up now. Strongbow blocks is a 3/4. Their 1/1 blocks is a 1/1. We just attack in. Actually, I should have played Stalwart, sacked the Stalwart to Spider. That would have been guaranteed lethal here. But we still put them to 1 and kill like all their creatures. Yeah, we're still... It's not guaranteed lethal right now, but we make them chump with their whole board here. Because their only play that lets them survive here involves chump blocking. Right? Because they could go Strongbow here. But then they can only sack one thing. So if they go Strongbow here, spend 1 mana, sack a Powerstone. That's a 3-4 blocking a 4-4, which is a chump block. And then if they block here, that'd be 4 damage there, put them to 1. That's 2 chump blocks, they go to 1. If they double block here and buff the Strongbow, that is 4 power to kill the bear. However, they take 5 and die. And if they double block here and sack something to Strongbow, that is 5 toughness total after sacking to Strongbow, but it's only 4 power, so they don't kill Pallbear. So there's no block they can make where they survive and kill either of our creatures. So I did technically miss lethal, but their only option there was to sacrifice their whole board and go to 1 life. So not the worst missed lethal I've ever done. And we're going to be 6-0 now. We are 5 for 6 on games where we've cast a Titania's command. So I guess I'm supposed to go to the casino today. That's what the world is telling me. We are at 1,800 gems and 5 packs. An excellent reward no matter what happens, but see if we can keep it up. Maybe get a 7-0 run as we head into the final boss. Here we are now in what could be the final round. A very solid opening hand. We have a 2-drop, a good 4-drop. We have a Bushwhack that could get us a Plains if we need it later, but I'm going to hold on to it for now for it to be a potential removal spell if we need it. Now we have another great 4-drop and very tempted to Bushwhack into the Plains. I again only have 1 3-mana card in the deck, so I can postpone that decision until turn 3. Because on turn 3 I can play a 2-drop and still Bushwhack for the Plains. Which might be what happens here. With double Cohort in hand, Bushwhacking into a Plains is solid. Opponent starts things off with an Ambush Paratrooper. So a white aggro deck here, white-blue flyers, white-blue soldiers here. Not a particularly great matchup for us, and we drew the Evolving Wilds, so postponing the decision on Bushwhack worked very well for us, because now I can just grab my Plains from Evolving Wilds. And now I can Bushwhack to kill Paratrooper. I can just hold up Gaia's Gift here to try to kill Wing Commando. Could attack in, and if they block, we gift. If they don't block, then I Bushwhack Paratrooper, and I can still gift later. They're a blue-white deck that's going to have 4 mana untapped when I try to gift my Sprite on blocks, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to play it a little safer here and just kill a slightly worse creature to guarantee they don't have instant speed interaction to kind of mess up our combat trick. Alright, Airlift Chaplain from our opponent. And again, we can still just Gaia's Gift later to kill something. Take a little more damage in the meantime. Down to 18. There's a 1/1 First Strike. They could double block Sprite to kill it. 1/1 First Strike, actually pretty annoying against these cohorts, but I have the gift I could use there. Honestly, I mean, obviously I would rather use it to kill a Wing Commando on blocks, but if I get an aggressive enough position, which is possible with double cohort, then I might use it to get a cohort to beat the survivor and trample over. Try to outrace our opponent instead. Energy Refractor coming down, that triggers the Wing Commando's prowess. Send in for 4 in the sky, we're down to 14. 1 blocker on the ground, but they have 3 mana up here to counter a Gaia's Gift if I go for it, and I guess they can't counter a Gaia's Gift. There's no single blue counter spell that would do that. They could counter my cohort if they're holding up a counter spell. Probably attack with exclusively Sprite and just play another cohort for now. 1 mana away from doing cohort and gift is awkward. I'd love to cohort and gift, but the fact that I can't do both means I think I just cohort. Right, let's see if they've got the scatter ray here. Obviously, I'd hope not, but we're not going to get to enough mana to get through a scatter ray anytime soon. We have 1 out of the 4 extra mana we would need to pay for the scatter rays tax. And looks like they just did nothing with their mana throughout our turn there, so I'm pretty happy to see that. But they are tapping out for something big here. 4 mana, at least. Considering casting something for 4 mana. Warlord's Elite, they are going to play. Big 4/4 here. Take 3 in the sky every turn. I've got a Skyfisher Spider. Skyfisher Spider plus Gaia's Gift here is pretty huge. Yep, we get aggressive. Kill the Warlord's Elite, hold up the gift. They did have the Scatter Ray. They were holding it for something better. That's fair. If I attack with everybody, they block both the cohorts, take 4, I kill Agent and Trample Over, or I don't think I could actually outrace if they countered the spider here. I think I actually have to gift on blocks and kill the commando, and then we both stare at each other until somebody draws something good. Again, one of my cohorts is going to die without killing anything, which is really bad. Decommission is also really bad for me because Ambush Paratrooper as a 2/3 body is nuts here. With the mana to buff it up, this might be a loss now. Recommission off the top, huge, huge stuff. What their last card in hand is, if it's not a combat trick, we get to kill Commando at least. If it's any other instant, Commando goes to 4/4, which still dies to Cohort. Yeah, it's a combat trick. Alright, well, kind of had it all in the end here, unfortunately. White listed streamer. Okay, 1, 2, 3 flying attackers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage I take on the crackback. I have the 2 blockers for on the ground. They're playing off the top. We command and attack with everybody 100%. Got the 2 blockers for the 2 ground creatures. Command attack with everybody next turn and kill them. If they top deck removal, they win. If they don't, we win. They're over it. They take so much damage there that... I didn't even do the math because I just 100% this is the correct line no matter what, but what they could trade into that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, they die if they don't block again, and all of their other blocks are completely chump blocks. Good God, so they have to chump block there, take 11, 12, 13, 14. They have to chump block with both of the other 2 to not die. So they have to go Warlord's Elite on Cohort, I guess, and then they take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wow, yeah, they're forced to lose 2 of their creatures. Well, actually, no. They could have went Survivor of Corliss on Cohort, and then Warlord's Elite on a 3/3, taken 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. I definitely understand the scoop from our opponent, but if they go Corliss on Cohort, Elite on a 3/3, they take 8 plus 4, which is 12. They survive with 2 life, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the Elite will still be around, although I've got 2 bears, so that doesn't matter too much. But they get to keep all their flyers that way. I'm at 10. They're threatening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the sky if they activate Paratrooper. So I don't know what's in their deck, but possible. 3, 4, 5. No, it would have had to have been a 1 mana way to get 2 extra damage in this guy. Yeah, they definitely know their deck better than me. They probably knew they had no outs there. But they could survive without losing any flyers. All right, yeah, super fair concession. I don't want to mislead there. That was a ridiculous top deck, and we're just going to be 7-0. We've cast 6 Titania's commands today. Let's say I haven't drafted Titania's command super often in this format, but I guess when I do draft it, I absolutely cast it. I had a lot of fun with a lot of the other synergies in the deck, stuff that we really kind of drafted and built around here with all of the Unearth shenanigans, with a little bit of self-mill. Had a lot of fun with Skyfisher Spider alongside Unearth abilities and alongside 1/1 soldiers from cards like Emergency Weld and Scrapwork Cohort. Stalwart to help splash in off-color Unearth effects was super fun. Definitely enjoy some Sentinel Stalwarts. I think I'd draft them even a little higher in the future. Yeah, a lot of great stuff in this deck going on. That was a lot of fun. Outside of just, Titania's commanding into the win every game, at least the lead up to it was pretty fun, synergistic nonsense. But I don't think I can rightly say that this was like an incredibly well-drafted deck with incredibly powerful and consistent synergies, because honestly, 6 of the 7 games were won by Titania's command, and a majority of those would not have been won without it. So, big key point of the draft is that bomb rares do exist in Limited, especially in the Brothers War with cards as powerful as Titania's command. Outside of that, already said the other big takeaways. Stalwart to splash in off-color Unearth effects is really fun. I'm definitely really into that. This was a really fun strategy. I'd like to draft stuff like this again in the future, maybe without the command, so we can get some more games showing off the general Unearth Stalwart with a bunch of artifact kind of synergies. So super fun deck today, super fun draft, and as good of a record as you can possibly get. We are going to be 7-0, grabbing 2,200 gems and 6 packs, but that is going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to hang out in real time, check out the Twitch channel where I'm live multiple times a week. I have streamed multiple more Brothers War Premier drafts there. If you're looking for some more of that, that is in the past broadcasts video on demand section on Twitch. Also, if you'd like to support the channel directly, check out the Patreon link in the description below. Big thanks to my current Patreons, and that's everything. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.